What is up, everybody? Squid Dish here. I think we need another truth bomb. It's been quite a long time since I've posted one of these, and I've only done one ever, but those of you who caught the last one, I already kind of know what this series is about. Those of you who don't, truth bomb is something that I only do when an issue irritates me enough to do one. It's where I'm going to take something that's at least somewhat controversial and pisses me off, and explain my thoughts on the subject. And this isn't like an I'm right, you're wrong, shut up, you're stupid. This is a discussion. So I'm going to put down my point. You are not only allowed or available, you are welcomed to post in the comments if you disagree or if you see it another way, have another opinion, anything like that. Absolutely, just go for it. By all means. I want all sides of this issue. This is discourse. This is a truth bomb. Now, today's subject. I've played a lot of Dark Souls on this channel. Done 2.5 playthroughs with another one going on the second channel with some PvP videos sprinkled in. I've done a lot of Dark Souls between my two channels. I like Dark Souls. It's broken and incredibly frustrating at times, but it's still enjoyable. It's still playable, and for all of its flaws, it's so well designed that the experience is still worth it. That's what makes Dark Souls what it is. That's what makes Dark Souls so appealing. That's what brought it such popularity. It's so well designed. So when I heard about a couple of the horrid, terrible design decisions that Fromsoft is making for Dark Souls 2, I've recently decided that unless something changes, I'm not going to buy the game. Now, this is all obviously subject to change. The game is not out yet. It's still a ways down the road. Any of this can be changed at any time. I mean, this could even be hot-fixed in the future. I mean, there's so many possibilities. This could go so many different ways. But as it stands, with the information I have right now, I am not going to be purchasing Dark Souls 2. And let's go ahead and talk about why. So what's causing this is obviously some of the changes between Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. The stuff that stayed the same isn't going to cause me to quit because I'm fine with that. That's obviously not bothering me any. We're going to look at each of these changes, and we're going to assess at a base level, what this change means for the fundamental of the game. And the fundamental being why we buy the game. And why do we buy games? To have fun. So we're going to look at each change and see how it changes how fun the game is going to be. Now, before you scream and cry because Dark Souls isn't supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be masochistic misery. Now I'm factoring difficulty into this. Half of the fun of Dark Souls is the over-the-top difficulty. If Dark Souls was not as hard as it was, if it was not as rewarding as it is, it wouldn't be as fun. So no, I'm not going to completely ignore the challenge. That's Dark Souls' main draw. The second big thing we're going to do with each change is look at what group of players, what potential fan base this change is really going to make the game more appealing to. Each of these changes obviously has a goal. I mean, Fromsoft is a business. They're making this game to sell it and make money. So what portion of their fan base is going to be more likely to buy their game or enjoy the game more because of these changes? So let's go ahead and take a look at the major changes that are making me pretty upset with Fromsoft right now. Now, let's start with the first one. Let's start at the beginning. The first change Fromsoft announced. This wasn't so much a change as an intention that they laid down in an interview that made me kind of second guess what I thought was going to be a sure buy on release. And that is, they said that co-op, or that Dark Souls 2 is not designed for co-op with friends. They've said they're going to be taking steps to make it incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to know who you're summoning in or to summon in your friends. The summoning mechanic is still there in some shape or form, but they're going to make it as hard as they can to summon in the people you want to summon, to stop you from doing co-op playthroughs like Dry Souls, to stop you from playing with your friends. Now, I could stop right here. This could be the end of the video. Look at how many co-op playthroughs of Dark Souls there are on YouTube. Look how many people just play through the game with a friend just for fun. Look at how much, well, not even first playthrough, just replay value. How much replay value does this game bring you? Like, look at me playing with Dry Bear. Watching him go through all of the first-time bushwhacks that happen and how amusing it is to just be there with him when this stuff happens or to bail him out of trouble when shit goes wrong. That's so much replay value on a game that honestly doesn't have a ton other than character customization. The game's going to be virtually the same every time you play it. At least Dark Souls is. I don't know about Dark Souls 2, admittedly. But, I mean, this is the big change that I have to question. How is this more fun for literally anybody? Like, how does this make anyone want to buy the game anymore? How does this change do anything other than make people say, well, that sounds stupid, I'm not interested? You can try and argue, and I've heard the defense, that the game's not there for co-op. It's not there to play with your friends. You're supposed to be alone in the... Well, there's still a summoning system. You're not alone in the world. You can summon whoever the fuck you want. And if you're going to argue it's going to make it too easy to be carried through by your friend, well, it's just as easy to find a summon sign of a guy who has ridiculously over-leveled gear. You guys saw my first Dark Souls playthrough. I just summoned 3 dudes in Anne Orlando who were clearly on New Game Plus or Plus Plus and just wrecked the entire zone for me, including the boss. You don't need to know these people. They don't need to be your friends. If you want to cheese a zone with phantoms, you're going to cheese a zone with phantoms. Stopping you from summoning your friends is doing nothing but removing a huge part of what a lot of people like about the game, and that's the butt wiener. I mean, they're taking out the butt wiener, they're taking out the essence of Sunbro. I mean, this is like, why? This is the one change. I don't agree with any of these, but this is the one I can't even understand. Who does this make the game more fun for? Nobody. Nobody at all. This is the dumbest fucking change. This is just why. This is just Fromsoft. What the fuck are you thinking? Really? I mean, co-op's a huge draw. Not even looking at Dark Souls, just games in general. Look at games like Borderlands that are literally carried by their co-op. I mean, co-op, playing with your friends, has made absolutely mediocre games into great experiences. Games like Castle Crashers that really, if you just play by yourself, it's pretty boring as shit. Button mash forever. But you play with your friends, and it's a fun fucking experience that most people have played through at least once. It makes games better. There is no downside to co-op. The reason some games don't include co-op is because they take so much more extra work to put that infrastructure in and to make it function with the co-op. And the fact that the developer is going the extra mile to remove co-op with friends from a game just blows my fucking mind. I mean, that right there is enough for me to want to not buy the game just because I'm going to vote with my wallet. I'm not going to support the raw stupidity that is this design decision. But this is only decision 1, and I'm not going to spend the entire video, although I could easily, on how stupid this is. We're going to move on. They then released another bastion of information, which brought to us 2 main points that I want to talk about in this video. The first being that phantoms are on a time limit. Phantoms are no longer kicked out when you defeat the boss. Phantoms are kicked out after a while. They said there's different sizes of white soapstones that will let phantoms stay in your world for longer. But the more your phantom is actively participating and killing enemies, the sooner he's going to be gone. Now, I can understand this change. This one I get. This is a step towards they want you alone in the world. It's a desolate wasteland out there, and it's just you versus the wilderness. This is not pants on head retarded. This I just don't agree with. Because this is something, again, they're just removing butt wiener. They're removing co-op. This is a thing that should be up to the player, not the developer. This is one of those things the developer, how long you're allowed to play with a phantom, is not something the game developer should be dictating. It should be something that if the player wants to run through the whole zone with a phantom, fucking let them. I mean, why not? What's the other end of this? They're going to summon a phantom who's on a limited timer. The phantom's going to go through and do work, and as soon as it runs out, they'll just summon another goddamn phantom. I mean, they could even summon the same phantom again. He could get kicked out and just walk up there and throw his sign right back down. If that's how summoning works in Dark Souls 2, which I'm assuming it's still going to be some sort of sign-based system, but like, really? Like, really? I get what you're going for, but I feel like they're getting overly attached to and overly trying to steer the player's experience. I know what you want, Fromsoft, okay, I get it. I understand what you want. That's not necessarily what your audience wants, and maybe that's what some of the audience wants, and that's cool. If you want that, Don't summon any fucking phantoms. Well, there you go. You got your experience. If you do, why stop you? Now, who does this change make the game more fun for? Well, obviously the purist and hardcore crowd, who would like to be able to play through Dark Souls and then high-five each other with their enormous EPs about how awesome they are, and not care about the fact that they're dragging down everyone else's experience. Now, it's worth noting, this might very well be the change they were referring to when they said the game is not designed for co-op with friends. This could be what they're talking about. So this might not be two separate situations, but since this is more specific and I have concrete details on it, it's worth talking about nonetheless. Now the third and final change that has pretty much solidified that I don't want this game at all. They have said, you can be invaded while hollow. Damn it, Fromsoft, come the fuck on. The only way to avoid being invaded now is to unplug your internet. Play the game while not connected to Xbox Live or whatever. You have to play entirely offline to avoid invasions. This is like, come on. This is dumb. Now again, this is at least a change I can understand. They want PvP to be an integral part of the game. They want it to be part of the core experience. They want it to be something that it's not easy to avoid. It's not something you can simply get away from by staying hollow. They want you to always be worried that you can be invaded and some assfuck will just come ruin your play experience, alright? Now, let's be real here. PvP itself is a super controversial thing in Dark Souls. A lot of Dark Souls players just do not like the PvP. I'm not a huge fan of it myself. It's really, really broken. It's incredibly broken. It's exploit-centric. It's about exploiting latency, and granted with dedicated servers, it may not be as bad. The Demon Souls had dedicated servers, and that's a lag-stab BS Fish-a-Palooza-thon too. Just doesn't matter because everyone's spamming all this fucking grass, so it's like, it's a totally different beast. But the point is, you can't PvE without PvP now, without disconnecting from the internet, which is stupid. A game should not force you to unplug an Ethernet cable to play and have fun. Again, understand what they're going for, but who does this make the game more fun for? If you now have the ability to invade literally any player in the game, hollow or otherwise, hollow players that don't want PvP, not going to be having as much fun. You're going to be getting shit on right before the next bonfire. PvPers that want to invade and get a good fight. They don't want to invade these hollow kids who don't want a PvP, who don't know what they're doing, who are on their first 5 minutes of their Dark Souls experience. They don't want to be invading these people. If they want a PvP, they want to invade the people that signed the fuck up, the people that went human, the people that are ready for this. That's who they want. So the only group of people that's going to enjoy this more are the people who just want to invade the people who don't want to be invaded. The dickwads, the gankers, the exploiting assfucks. That is who this change is for. This is Fromsoft explicitly making a change that only makes the game more fun for the asshole players in the community that nobody likes. I mean, really? They're the only ones who are going to benefit from this. Congratulations, Fromsoft. Your game is now a haven for gankers and douchebags. Good. Let's give a round of applause. No one has ever created such a glorious haven for you to come be an asshole and ruin other people's gaming experiences. I hope you are really proud of yourselves. Now, admittedly, out of all the changes they've made for Dark Souls, I don't disagree with all of them. There's a lot of things they're doing that sound really fun. That are not necessarily fun, but that I like the concept of. Everything they announced in the first place, the roaming bosses, a lot of the changes they're doing for not online play, how the world's going to be so much more fluid. That sounds awesome. They have a new, it's not really new, it's like it was in Demon Souls, how when you are not human, when you're in your hollow form, you have less max HP. So you have to use an item to kind of give yourself an advantage, which is going to be human effigies instead of humanity now. That will restore your humanity, give you all your health back. So, I mean, after you've died, you've got a little bit of experience, you know what's going on, and you have a better idea of what's coming, but you're training, you're going to come back in with less max health next time. That's cool. That's going to make this a good difficulty. I like that. That's a really cool change. It's going to make the game very challenging. They, granted, with all this online bullshittery, they have a Way of the Blue Covenant, which is kind of a reverse invader. From what I understand, there's little information about this. From what I understand, it's basically a covenant that gives you blue phantoms that show up when you get invaded. So if you are invaded, a blue phantom, I don't know if you have to summon them or if they'll just jump right into your world to be your white knight. And they will just show up to defend your honor. Just the anti-invading asshole covenant. And if you're going to put all this stupid douchebaggery in the game that you clearly are, I'm glad you at least did something to balance it out a little bit, but that's not going to be enough to rebuild or regrow my interest in the game at all. I mean, with these 3 changes, not designed for co-op with friends, phantom time limit, being invaded while hollows, I don't want it. I don't want this game. I have 0 interest. This is not only taken out a lot of the reason the Dark Souls is fun, a lot of what I looked forward to with Dark Souls 2, but even if I would, granted, probably still enjoy playing through the game in single player, like I said, I'm going to vote with my wallet. I'm not going to support pants on head fucking retarded decisions. I'm not going to support blatant stupidity in the development process by giving Fromsoft my money for this shit. I mean, come on. And then I could even on top of that get into the fact that I fully expect all of Dark Souls' problems to still be fully present in Dark Souls 2. Many of the issues from Demon Souls are still there in Dark Souls. That wasn't their first game. Dark Souls was designed for a fucking console, a static platform, and still has things like Blighttown, which chugs along at like 10 frames per second on a static console. There's no variance. You know exactly what you're designing for, and you still can't make the zone fucking work. I mean, I don't know why everyone is magically expecting Dark Souls 2 to be problem-free. It's gonna have just as much stupid shit as Dark Souls and Demon Souls did. I mean, they've given me no reason to believe, even as recently as last week, breaking the third-party patch that makes the game function on PC with an update that did, I guess, prevented some hacking. Yeah, I'm sure. I'll believe that when I stop being invaded by infinite HP dudes. Whatever. I have no reason to believe Dark Souls 2 is going to have any significant engine improvements over Dark Souls or Demon Souls, or is it going to have its own giant slew of bugs and problems? Because they've given me no reason to believe that. I mean, there's a lot of blind love that's just convinced Dark Souls 2 is going to be the second coming of Christ or something, but although I'm sure it would be at least decent fun to play through single player, I don't want anything to do with it. So, like I said, this here's Truth Bomb. This isn't shut up, you're wrong. This is discussion. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. I already know a lot of you from stuff I've said on Twitter. I already know a lot of you don't agree with me. I understand that. I want to know why. I want to know what makes this okay, basically. What makes these not stupid-ass design decisions? What makes this acceptable from a game developer? Because I can't even understand. This blows my mind that they would do this stuff. I mean, this is just, please don't buy my game. These 3 changes are like, please, just please, I don't want your money. Please do not buy my game. That's going to be about that, though. This is Squid Dish. And good day, ladies and gentlemen. We can only hope for change.